When you're talking about the European North American relationship, the transatlantic relationship, there's kind of good news and there's bad news. So the good news is that, from the standpoint of the United States, I'm an American, I kind of really know the U.S. perspective. Europe is America's most dependable ally. When there's an issue, a challenge, a problem internationally, this is where the U.S. looks first. It has for a very long time, and it will continue to do so going forward. Some of this has to do with common values. Some of it has to do with shared security interests. Some of it has to do with patterns of trade and investment, a very kind of dense and strong economic relationship. So that's the good news. The bad news is that this relationship is being tested. It's being tested by geopolitical developments, particularly the rise of China, because the United States and Europe do not necessarily have the same interest in Asia. And it's being tested domestically by the rise of illiberal, nationalist, and populist forces that are not convinced that globalization and liberal internationalism, kind of the hallmarks of Western and transatlantic leadership, are paying the same kinds of dividends domestically that they once did. And so this poses a bit of a challenge for the partnership going forward. And, the old Chinese proverb is, may you live in interesting times. I think we're going to be living in pretty interesting times. I think Europe is being tested by a series of developments that range from the political maelstrom in the Middle East to Russian behavior in the near abroad to the arrival of refugees on Europe's doorsteps. What it's doing is it's bringing to the fore the lack of a kind of common foreign policy, a common approach in Europe. It's highlighting what people knew existed before. I think the general sense is that Europe could get along without a common foreign policy, and that's becoming increasingly unclear, or, I think there's a great deal of skepticism about that. And the question really going forward is whether Europe can act in a kind of coherent and consistent way. And that's its big challenge with kind of its neighborhood.